Welcome to the Buick Outdoors Podcast. I'm your host, Sheldon Marion, and on this podcast, we dive deep into the outdoors. We discuss hunting and fishing techniques, give you tips and tricks, tell stories, and everything in between to help you enjoy the outdoors. This podcast is brought to you by Northbound Gear. Northbound Gear makes some incredible pants. For me, I got two favorites. Their adventurer pants and their waterproof jeans are my favorite. The adventurer pants, they're cut resistant, they're waterproof, and they're lined. They also have like a stretchy waist to them, so they're incredibly comfortable. And then the jeans are waterproof, and they're also lined as well, so they keep you nice and warm during the colder months. I basically wear Northbound Gear right around, October, September-ish kind of area, all the way until about May. In the summer months, the lined pants are a little bit too warm, but during those months, I wear some of their other lighter, thinner pants that they make as well. If you want to give these guys a try, head over to northboundgear.co, use promo code Sheldon15 at checkout, and you'll receive 15% off. And to top that up, Northbound Gear, they also work with One Tree Planted. So for every purchase that you make, you plant one tree. So head over to northboundgear.co, use promo code Sheldon15, get yourself some good gear. Well, welcome back to another Buick Outdoors podcast. If you're new around here, I'm your host, Sheldon Marion, and we just finished up doing a great big trip around the BC coast. It's been a long time coming. I've wanted to do this trip for quite a few years now, and I finally had the chance, the opportunity, and the money to do it, so I said, let's go. One thing that they kind of started off on the bad foot there, on the wrong foot, whatever you want to call it. I was supposed to spend about 3 weeks down there, but had to postpone it about a week. I had a doctor's appointment in Chetwynd before I could go down there. And then also the original plan was I was going to spend 3 weeks down there, and it was just going to be me and the dogs. But with me having to postpone it for about a week, Shelby was able to join me. So she ended up getting a little bit of time off work and came down there with me as well. Starting the trip off, my doctor's appointment wasn't until like 2:30 in the afternoon. So by the time I did my doctor's appointment and I got out of there at like 3:30, we ended up driving all the way to Whistler that night. And as we were coming through Whistler on the left-hand side, I can't remember what it was called, but it's like winter wonderland kind of thing. There's a bunch of lights and stuff like that, and everything's all decked out. So it's like 3 in the morning, and I'm driving down the road, and I'm not really paying attention, and I'm just looking at the lights and all the decorations, because it looks pretty nice. And like I said, I wasn't paying attention to the road at all, because it's 3 a.m. There's nobody on the road. Well, turns out there was somebody on the road, and that somebody was a cop right behind me. So they pulled me over, and they asked me how long I've been driving for. They asked if I was drunk or whatever, and I said, no, I just been driving for like 13 hours straight. She goes, okay, well, you need to find a place, pull over, have some, get some sleep, and then, whatever. So we end up driving like another hour before we found a pullout. So I pulled in there, had a bit of a nap, and then got up the next morning and made it the rest of the way to Horseshoe Bay, where the ferry is, just north of Vancouver. And I think the ferry left at 11, and we were there by 10 o'clock. No, that was the second ferry that left at 11. We were there for the first ferry that left at like 8 or 9. So yeah, we made some pretty good timing. From there, we ended up going across to Vancouver Island, and in Nanaimo, that's a weird town. Pretty well all of Vancouver Island is weird, from like Campbell River south. I didn't enjoy like any of it when we were down there. It wasn't for me. There's so many people, and like the entire coastline is just right full of pretty well private property, and then the spots that you can kind of get to, it's almost just not worth your time going in there, because there's just nothing there. But we ended up spending a couple of days in Nanaimo. We went over into Duncan, and we visited my mom over there. She's been living there for a couple of years. I haven't seen her in quite a while. And then while we were there, we went to Jim Jockey's Hand of Man Museum, and that was worth going to that side of the island. Just going to that museum. If you're into that kind of stuff, Jim Shockey, I've watched him pretty well my whole life, and it's kind of cool seeing all the stuff that he's collected over the years, not just on like the TV shows and stuff like that, but then to actually go into his museum and look at the pieces and say, hey, I watched the video where he, traded whatever for this, or he paid the guy some money and he cut the tip of his canoe off, kind of a thing, because they kind of hand carve like alligators into the tip of their canoes and stuff like that. So that was pretty neat watching that. And then after that, we tried a few different places around the southern part of the island, and it just seemed like it was just brutal. Even for us, like what I planned to do was just go down there with my ice fishing tent, a cot, my heater in case it got a little cold at night, and like I just kind of thought it was gonna be like up north, where it was just gonna be like campgrounds kind of everywhere, and they weren't gonna be closed. Turns out there's provincial parks everywhere, but that doesn't mean that they're campgrounds. And then the campgrounds that were open, I can't even say they were open. There was a lot where the gates were closed, or like the park was open, but the gates to the campgrounds were closed. And then there was one place that we found that was actually open, and we ended up getting in there. It was pretty late in the evening, and we just said, whatever, we'll just pull in, find a spot in the one far corner away from absolutely everything, and set up camp, had some supper, we went to bed. Woke up in the morning to a park ranger, and she was not a happy camper. She was extremely mad at me for not self-registering, and like it just kind of kicked off the trip to a bad start. It seems like, I know there's quite a few people from down south that watch my channel, listen to the podcast and all that stuff, but it seems like a vast majority of people down south are terrible people. Like, and I don't even feel sorry about saying that. I mean, you are what you are, kind of a thing. I'm sorry. Like, if that strikes a nerve, I mean, whatever. Get over it. Like, there's a lot of people that we met down there that, like I said, they just weren't nice people. They had, everybody, they just kind of seemed like they were, I don't know, kind of stuck up almost. I mean, like, granted, it might have been because it, like, actually snowed there. There was, like, 3 inches of snow and, I don't know, +4. So everybody was, like, freezing cold kind of a thing. And we were walking around with, like, T-shirts and just, like, pants on. And, like, it was amazing. Because when we left Hudson Hope, it was -32 here. When we got down there, it was, like, +4, +5. So, and then, like, the next day was, like, +6. And, yeah, everything was melting. But, yeah, I don't know. And we ran into a few people that had dogs too. And it seemed like for people who had dogs, they hated dogs almost. But I don't know, whatever. I mean, that's why I was looking at places where I could just go and be by myself, and I, didn't have to be around people. And like even before we left, though, I told Shelby, like, a fair warning. We're gonna be making a second trip down here as a redemption trip. But the second trip will be in a boat, and we'll be anchoring out in a bay somewhere or whatever, because like I'm pretty sure we're gonna run into a lot of people, and that's exactly what happened. But yeah, from Duncan and Nanaimo, we end up going up the island a little ways, and we took the ferry across. I can't remember what the first island was called. We take the ferry from Vancouver Island to whatever, the first island, and then from there you take another one to Hornby Island. And Hornby Island, it is a nice little place. It's kind of like a hippie community almost. Everybody's pretty peace and love down there. And there was a lot of spots. Well, I shouldn't say a lot. It's a small island, but there was a couple of provincial parks down there, and I kind of figured that when we were over there, we would just go to one of these provincial parks and just camp out, just much like being on the main island. Uh, Turns out the two that had campgrounds, the campgrounds are closed, and the other place. So when we first got there, we didn't even think about camping because in my mind there was like three provincial parks, two campgrounds or three campgrounds. So like we were set. We didn't have to go and look for a place to camp because in my mind like it was already there. Uh, so we went straight to the beach and we went to the spot that's open for harvesting oysters. And I mean, this is the first time we've ever picked oysters before, so we were just kind of winging it. And after a little while, we picked up probably about half a dozen or so, and we brought them back to the truck, and I started shucking them, and I thought, well, if you're gonna try oysters, you might as well try them fresh out of the ocean, straight out of the shell. So I shucked one for myself, and I ate that, and boy, it was some fishy. And I don't understand because like there's a lot of people that say oysters they taste real nice. There's a slight brininess to them, but some say they almost have like a cucumber taste, and I didn't have that at all. It was very very potent. The one that I ate, the first like I only bit it about 3 or 4 times and then swallowed it, but like the first 2 3 bites, it was perfectly fine. And then when I went to swallow it, like it was just the oh, it was so strong of fish. If you've ever if you ever caught Chinook salmon, when they come into the boat, you know it's a Chinook, not because of the spots on the tail, the black gums, or anything like that. It's because of they smell. And like that is the exact way that that oyster tasted, is like the smell of a slimy Chinook salmon. And yeah, it was something else. And then I told Shelby, I said, "Well, I did it. You got to try it." And she she didn't do so good. She took about 2 bites, made just a real nasty look on her face, and she went to the side of the truck. She spit it out. She was huffing and puffing and cursing me out. if you if you've watched the videos there, they're all out now. You can see our reactions eating those oysters. I wasn't too bad. I took it like a champ, but yeah, Shelby, she definitely did not like them whatsoever. And then from there, we we went to go and check out the one campsite. It didn't allow dogs. We went to well, it was a paid place anyway, so we kind of dodged a bullet. I wasn't too upset. It was like, well, one down, like 3 or 4 to go. You know, we went to the one provincial park. Again, it was a provincial park, not a provincial campground. Scrap that one. Well, that's 2 out of the 4. we're okay. We're good to go. Then we go up to the one called Hallowell Park, and again, it's a park, not a campground. And everywhere there's signs saying no overnight parking, no camping, no this, no that. So we go out to the far side of the island, and we're like, you know what? We'll go to this place. It's a place where you had to pay to camp, but whatever. We'll just pay for the night, and we'll have supper there. It's a nice restaurant. And the restaurant was beautiful. You overlooking the ocean and stuff like that. It was really nice. And then after supper, we went down to the convenience store, and I paid for the night, and we went to go up there, and they said that they had contractors out there doing some construction and working on some of their guest cabins. Unfortunately, the guest cabins are kind of like here, and the road to the campground kind of went like this way. But right here, blocking the road, was the guy's truck, and then on the road into the campground, they had a trailer there full of like lumber and plywood and stuff. So I went back to the Chicky Poo there in the convenience store. I'm like, hey, look, like everything is blocked off. And she goes, well, I'll get the contractors out and they'll move it. I'm like, no, that'll be like 2 3 hours of work. Like everything is blocked off. I was like, can I just get my money and we'll just go on down the road kind of thing. She said, yeah, sure, that's fine. So then we end up hopping in the truck, and then, oh, maybe that's when we went to Hallowell Park. Yeah, we went over to Hallowell Park, found out it's a park, not a campground, and there's no parking signs and no camping signs. And like typically, I wouldn't really care too much about it. But the problem is down south is like they actually have park rangers. We're up here in the north, we don't have park rangers. You know, is if there's a park ranger, I mean it's like May long weekend and maybe Canada Day long weekend. After that, there's nobody. So, but down there is yeah, they work year round. So it was an unfortunate thing. But yeah, and then by the time we went, you know what, the heck with this, we'll just leave. We'll come back here later, whatever. We'll, next year or whatever. But by then it was like 8:30, and the last ferry leaves at 9, and we were like 45 minutes away from the ferry terminal, kind of a thing. So like, we were screwed. So we ended up just going back to Hellawell Park. Uh, Luckily for us, it was like a slight little hill. So we just pulled in, put the truck up like that, leaned the seat back in the truck, and that's where we were going to camp. Unfortunately, though, like I said, it was like 8:30. We weren't tired. So we ended up driving down to the one, what was it called? Whaling Station, I think. Whaling Station Beach. And it was kind of funny because like you're looking at Google Maps and like there is a driveway into there. Then when you get there, it's like an actual driveway. There's a house, a little spot for you to park, and then another house. So we pulled in there, and I already did some filming and stuff like that. So I pulled out the laptop and I just started doing some editing and stuff while we were there. So yeah, I ended up editing for like 2 hours or something like that, maybe a little bit longer until it was dark anyways. Then we went back to Hello Park, went up onto that little hill and said, well, they can't exactly kick us out. I mean, the ferry doesn't start till tomorrow morning at like 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. So whether you're allowed to park here or not, we're parking here. So we had a bit of a sleep, and then, and I say a bit of a sleep because you weren't sleeping much. And then, yeah, come about, I think it was 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the morning. I got woke up to a plow truck coming in there, lights on, flashy lights and stuff like that, all those hazards on and stuff. And yeah, so we woke up from that, backed off of our hill and drove down, made our way to Fossil Beach. And there, again, it's like another like weird, I mean, it wasn't even like a side driveway. Like it was directly on the guy's driveway, except there's a little nook that you can park into. To get onto Fossil Beach, you go down, uh, what was it, Fossil Beach Farms or Fossil Beach Ranch? I think it's Fossil Beach Farms. You head down that road, but the road is just the driveway into the guy's house. And right at his gate, there's a small little spot where you can, it takes about 3-point turn to get your truck turned around, and then you can kind of park off into like the ferns kind of a thing. So we went there, got out, walked down to the beach, and then I kind of had a brain fart and realized it's high tide. So we're screwed. You gotta wait about 6 hours before the tide goes out and before you can get onto the rocks and all that stuff. So we hike back to the truck, get into the truck. We go all the way back around to where we had supper at the day before because they had a little coffee shop there. So we got a coffee, and I bought a bag of beans, coffee beans for my brother because he was they were watching our cats at home kind of a thing. But yeah, we had coffee, we walked around on the docks, checked out some boats and all that good stuff for a little bit. And then I think it was about 5 hours later, we made our way back to Fossil Beach, and we went out there, and we were, I don't know, it was about 4 hours, because as we were walking out onto the beach, the tide was still going out. And then, yeah, at slack low tide, you can walk, I don't know how far out there. It's hundreds of kilometers, hundreds of yards out there that you can walk, and it's really really cool. Out there at Fossil Beach though, it's not like here where you have like plant fossils and stuff like that are like in slabs or in like shale. There it's how do you call it, crustaceans. So pretty well what happens is something gets fossilized in like a ball of sand kind of a thing. So when you're looking at these fossils, you find like these perfect round balls, and then you have to hit them with a hammer and split them open. Unfortunately, we didn't have hammers with us. Our truck was right full, so like I couldn't even put a hammer in there. But what you end up looking for is those big round, like perfectly smooth balls. Sometimes they have like a little ridge. If you hit on that ridge, it'll open up, and that's where you find some of these fossils. You can find some crabs. You can find what are they called? Like big seashells, kind of thing. But what we end up finding, I'll grab them here. They're my new desk ornaments. And again, if you watch the videos on YouTube, you'll see us picking them. The first thing here is this cool looking rock. It's just, I don't know. It's cool to me because like you don't really find a rock very often with like a perfect hole in the center of it. So that's kind of neat. Then this one here, you can kind of see the shell. You see the little spiral there. And on the back side, you can kind of see the little spiral on the back side as well. And then this one here, it's a little bit bigger. There's a bunch of like green algae kind of growing on it. But you can see the spiral of the shell here. So yeah, those are our fossil finds anyways. And that was just like kind of looking around on the beach and not really, and not really smacking anything apart. So it was really cool. Also, that what was there was I don't know, thousands of little shore crabs that are about this big, they're about 1 inch, and turns out you can actually keep them. There's a limit of how many you can catch. So I'm thinking next time that we go down there, we might bring like a little bucket with us and catch like, I don't know, maybe like a dozen of them, and do kind of what they do in like parts of Asia and Thailand and stuff like that, where you can deep fry them and then put them in like a sweet chili sauce kind of a deal. And yeah, we'll see if they're all right or not. But yeah, so that was Hornby Island. It didn't take us long to get out of there. Once the ferry started going, it was a one-way trip back to the island, just to get off of Hornby. I would go back there, but it wouldn't be an overnight trip. If I went back there again, it would, honestly, if I was taking my boat through there, I would go to the dock just to go to that place, the restaurant, for supper. It was great food. But yeah, and then from there, where did we go? I think we started heading up towards Nanaimo again, or maybe just past. I'd have to look at a map. There was so many times up there where like I just started getting frustrated because you would see a campground on the map, so we'd drive up to it, gates would be closed. And then you see another one that was back to where like you just came from, drive down there and it was either closed or just right full. So we'd turn around and like we just went back and forth, and then it was just so frustrating. So where did we have to go here? Maybe it was north of. Yeah, we ended up going to Comox, not Nanaimo. Yeah, and that first island that you have to go to is Denman Island. And then you drive across the island to the far side, then you get onto Hornby. But yeah, from there we went up to Comox. And in Comox, my old boss, Lane Craig, and his wife Brenda, they own 40 Knots Winery. So we went over there, and I was talking to him. He's a local. He's been there for a little while now. And he was telling me about a couple of campgrounds that were just like, just up the road. So like we weren't concerned about a camping ground, like campsite at all that night. And he basically said, yeah, we were there just at New Year's, had some wine out at the beach and looked over the water and yada yada whatever. So I ended up staying there with him for, it was a couple of hours just to catch up with him, talk about old times and stuff. And then Lane being Lane, he loves to take people on tours of his winery and stuff. So he walked me through his entire setup, and how to make his wine, how to bottle it, the science that goes behind it and stuff like that. And it was like a really cool, in-depth little tour that he gave me. But then the sun started to go down, and he goes, well, the sun's going down, you better get out of here, check out this campsite. It's like 30 minutes away. No problem. So we hop into the truck and we drive up there about 30 minutes, get in, The parking lot is open. The little walkway to the beach was open. Gates to the campground were closed again. So then from there, we gone to like the frantic search on where to go next. So then we started going towards Campbell River, and along the stretch, there's little motels and everything like all over the place. Uh, Unfortunately for us, it was Valentine's Day. And for whatever reason, every single hotel, motel, Holiday Inn, Motel 6, whatever, like everything was booked. And then we finally found one little place that wasn't booked. And I pulled in there, uh, knock on the door there, ring the doorbell. A little Asian girl comes down and she's getting all my info and yada yada whatever. And then she asked me about my dogs. And I said, yeah, I got dogs. I got 3 of them. She was, oh, sorry, we don't allow dogs here. And I'm like, oh, for crying out loud. So from there, I think that was Oyster Bay, maybe. I can't remember. It was close to that, anyways. But anyways, we leave there. We go up to Campbell River. And as we're getting into Campbell River, I got Shelby. She's looking at maps and hotels and stuff. And like by now, it's like 9:30 at night, something like that. And she finds one hotel that allows dogs. There's room. She calls them up and they say, yeah, we got room. You're allowed dogs, yada yada, all this. The problem was it was like $160 for the night. And like we pulled in and I just like stared at it. I was like, there's no way I'm spending $160 just to sleep for like 6 hours. Like it's not happening. So we ended up going past Campbell River. What the heck was that campground called? Something Falls. I think the falls was on the right and the campground was on the left. I can't remember. But anyways, when we got into there, it was kind of like the hotels. There was, and like it's a big campground. I bet you there's probably like 200 stalls. But as you come in, there's people that kind of like, it looks like they kind of live there full time kind of thing by their setup. And then you come around to the corner where like all the other stalls are and stuff. And like every second one was full of people. And like we end up going to the very far end, got to another gate that was closed. So we just turned around, went, whatever, we're camping here. Get out, we set everything up. I didn't self-register or anything like that because again, it was late at night. I wasn't stopping. And yeah, so we get everything all set up. I start cooking supper. I think we ate in the truck at like 10:30 at night. Lay down on our cots at like 11, and then basically got up at like 6, maybe. It might have been earlier because I think Dad was gonna come across from Powell River and spend 2, 3, 4 days with us, kind of a thing. But at like 4 in the morning, it started to rain, and like it was just pissing down rain. To the point where it started to leak inside my tent. Because the tent that I brought with me was just my insulated ice fishing tent. So it's not exactly waterproof, like, it's whatever. But yeah, and the funny thing was, it wasn't just like dripping in there, it was like running. And at first it was hitting like just above my head, and then it soaked my pillow, and then my head started getting wet, and then it started to drip from another seam, and that one was hitting me like in the ear almost. So I sat up and I was like, Shelby, we're getting up, we're leaving. Like it just sucks. Then I sent Dad a text. I said, hey, I know you're pre-booked for the ferry and stuff like that to come over here, but it's supposed to rain for like, I think it was supposed to rain for 3 or 4 days straight, and the winds were supposed to be picking up to like 70 kilometers an hour. So we just kind of folded everything up, just threw it into the box of the truck, water and all. I didn't care. And I said, the heck with this. We're going back towards Campbell River and Comox. We're hopping on that ferry. We're going across to Powell River, getting back onto the mainland. And at least that way we can go and visit Dad for like a day or two kind of thing, and then just go home. Because like by this time it was just, the trip was just a total and utter disaster. And it wasn't that fun. Next time though, because I'm gonna do it again, probably at least twice more, once in the pickup again, and then a second time in a boat. But next time I think I'm gonna go kind of like Vancouver, Powell River, Comox, and then just go north and have absolutely nothing to do with down south. One thing I was supposed to do when I was down there too is I was invited by the paleontologist at the Royal BC Museum, and they were going to give me a behind the scenes look at everything that goes on at the museum and check out all their exhibits and the stuff that they're working on and stuff like that. And like, it would have been a phenomenal time and I would have loved it. But just the amount of time that I spent in Duncan and Nanaimo, that was enough. I didn't want to go anywhere further south into even more people, busier streets, and like downtown Vancouver. Just, I didn't want to do it. So that was unfortunate that I didn't do that, but whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, when we end up getting to Comox, I think we had to wait for about no, when we got to Comox, we went and had breakfast, and then the first ferry was like 3 in the afternoon or something crazy like that. And when we got there, it was like 11. And I was like, we have nowhere else to go. Wind's blowing like crazy. The water's spraying up off the ocean. Waves are white capping and stuff. So I was like, let's just go to the ferry terminal and wait. We get there, and the guy, like, confused look on his face. He's like, you're here for the ferry? I said, yeah, I'm here for the ferry. He goes, you realize what time it is, right? I said, yeah, it's 11 o'clock. Ferry don't get here till 3. He goes, okay, just letting you know, when you're in here, like, you're in. I'm like, that's fine. You got bathrooms over there. You got a little, what do you call it there? Vending machine and all that stuff. I'm like, we're fine. So, okay. And of course, I'm number 1 in line. Drive all the way up there on the far right side aisle, or lane 15 or whatever it is. And again, it was just like Hornby Island. I just leaned the seat back, pulled out the laptop, started downloading footage and all that stuff from the Hornby Island trip, or video, I guess we can call it. And so we sat there and I edited a video together, and then we watched seagulls fly around. We took trips into the bathroom and went check out the vending machine, and there was absolutely nothing there that I wanted other than a bottle of water, I think. But yeah, the ferry eventually came there. We got all loaded up, and with that ferry ride, it was a pretty rough one. Poor Shelby and pretty well everyone in like the little gift shop thing. We went upstairs there when we were going across, and we got a coffee and whatever else. Can't remember, maybe a bottle of juice or something. But we kept checking out the gift things there, the gift shops in the ferries, just to see if there's anything worth there, like kind of worth buying, kind of thing, just as like a little whatever memento. And while we're in there, we hit a couple of waves, and like I got pretty good sea legs. So for me, the ferry kind of came up, came down, and hit, and just like kind of stopped, and then went again. And like for me, it's whatever, We hit, and I kind of lean a little bit, and yeah, we're good to go. There was Shelby, some other woman there, and then like a little kid, and they all just woof, like they almost fell right over. Shelby kind of caught herself on the door. The one chick kind of hit uh, the clothes rack, and the kid there kind of grabbed his mom there, and oh yeah, it was kind of funny. Shelby's like, I'm going down. I gotta go sit back in the truck. I'm like, all right, you do you. I'll meet you down there. But yeah, that one was a pretty good trip across. I enjoyed it. And then when we get back down to where the trucks are all parked and stuff like that, and on the sides of the ferry, it's all open. So I'm sitting there, and I'm kind of holding on to my hat because the wind's blowing so hard. And every once in a while, we hit a wave, and like the sea spray that comes off that boat was just like, it was awesome to me. I'm 3/4 the way, on the backside of the boat, and like you can feel the water like splashing you. Like I thought it was pretty cool. But I've always liked big waves and big water and kind of sketchy stuff. But but yeah, we ended up getting over to Powell River. We went up to my dad's place, and we were gonna stay there for like 1 to 2, like 3 days would have been pushing it. We ended up staying for like 5. So it was nice though. My grandma, she lives down in Powell River now too. Not with my dad, but at the what do you want to call it? Assisted living, old folks home kind of a thing. And she really enjoys that. But again, just like my mom, she moved down there a couple years ago, and I haven't seen her since. So it was really nice to see my grandma. And while we were there, we were looking over things like what to do, because we're on a fishing trip, kinda. And yeah, it turns out over there on that side, you're also allowed to pick oysters, mussels, and clams. So yeah, we went up to a place called Oak Over Arm. It's between Powell River and Lund. You kind of take a right-hand turn and head across. I wouldn't really call it the island, but whatever. You get into a little branch of a bay that comes in around the other side, and there's a little parking lot and a little campground. Well, not a campground, but like a picnic area kind of thing. And then there's a nice little trail that goes right down onto the beach. And there I ended up filming three videos in one day, because we were there to pick oysters, we pulled mussels off the rocks, and then we dug for clams. And it was a blast. And like I could have easily went back there and did even more. One thing that I wanted to do was to try a mussel, or not a mussel, an oyster from that side, but I chickened out. I was the taste that was in my mouth just from Hornby Island. I didn't want to go through that again. So all the oysters that we did pick, we ended up just bringing them back to Dad's place, and I wanted to try smoking them, because like smoked oysters are pretty good, and depending on how much smoke you put on them, you can hide a lot of fishy taste. So yeah, we started looking at how to smoke oysters on like Google and YouTube and all that stuff. And like the one that I seen, it was like the most basic, simplest thing you do. You take an oyster, you don't even shuck it. You just throw the whole thing onto the smoker at like 210 degrees for 2 hours. And then in that 2 hours, the steam inside kind of generates some pressure. It doesn't open up the oyster, but it definitely loosens it up. So yeah, we smoked it for 2 hours. I shucked them all. How many did we have? I think we had 6 or more, 6 or 7. And then what we ended up doing is I left one just plain Jane, just oyster and shell. That was it. Threw that one back into the smoker. 3 of them got sweet chili sauce and then Parmesan, because like everything that we've seen on smoking oysters, like 99% of them are like, you gotta put Parmesan cheese on it. So we did that. And then the other 2, I don't even know what kind of hot sauce it was, something that Dad bought there, but it's just like a red jalapeno thick hot sauce. So we threw that on 2 of them, and again, put Parmesan cheese on them. And then put those in the smoker for 30 minutes, 45 minutes maybe, something like that. And yeah, so that turned out pretty good. Pretty well. Once we pulled them out, I was like, hey Dad, you want to be the test dummy on these? And he agreed to it. And yeah, he ate it, and he said, yeah, no, these are fine, they taste great. So then Shelby tried one, and then I was third. So I grabbed the one that was just the straight oyster, because I just wanted, I want to see what something tastes like as is. The other ones, like, they did taste great, but when you're eating those, you don't taste oyster, you taste sweet chili and Parmesan, or hot sauce and Parmesan. You don't really get the true taste of an oyster. So that's what I want to do. And then plus all the other smoked oysters I've ever had, it's always been out of a brine or whatever and soaked in some sort of an oil, sometimes soaked in water, but this way I knew exactly what just a plain Jane smoked oyster tastes like, and it was great. It tasted just like every other smoked oyster I've ever had, just without like without like the marinade kind of a thing, or without the oil that it's sitting in. So that was good. And then the mussels, I've had mussels before. The last time I had them was out in the Portland Canal, and boy, that was quite a few years ago too. One of the people that lived down there, he was like a chef. He had a great big yacht, and he would cruise down the Portland Canal every so often. And well, then there was still a lot of government docks in like almost every bay. So what we were doing is we'd pull up to one of the government docks at night or late afternoon kind of thing. You tie up to it, and then that's just where you camped. And the guy in his yacht, he did the same thing. And he said, hey, why don't you grab some of them mussels off the dock? Because like when you look at the logs on the docks, like they're just great big clusters of mussels. So he said, yeah, grab a bunch of them, pass them up to me, and I'll cook them up for you guys. I'm like, okay, sure. So we collected, I don't even know, I don't really remember, like, say it's a quarter of a bucket, right? And he took them into his yacht for about 30 minutes or so, came back out with a plate of nice, beautiful looking mussels. They smelled great. I grabbed one, I chewed into it, and like the first 2 or 3 bites was like the best garlic butter I've ever tasted in my life. And then it was kind of like that oyster at Hornby Island, where it was just straight fish. Like it tasted just terrible. Like it was gross. So that is what my idea of mussels was like. So when we were down in Powell River, I figured, well, we'll grab some mussels and we'll try them just just to try them. You know, so I think we grabbed like maybe a dozen, maybe a little bit more than that. And I cooked them up in just like a basic white wine and cream sauce. And like they were amazing. Like that's, I don't want to say it's my favorite seafood to eat, but I mean it's pretty close. I would almost rather that than a spot prawn, but I'd rather have a Dungeness crab instead of a mussel. Like it's up there, and that went from I don't ever want to try a mussel ever again to I want to eat like all of them. And I've had smoked mussels before, and a smoked mussel to me it just kind of tasted like smoked oyster almost. But yeah, with those ones fresh from the beach like that, it was just amazing. Like I want to go back to Powell River just to pick more mussels. Like they were just superb. When it comes to the clams though, I don't think I really purged them out properly. Depending on what you read up on and who you listen to, some say you take a clam, you just throw it in fresh water and you let it purge for like a day. Other people say you have to do it in salt water, especially the salt water that they come from, because it's just like their natural environment, so they just naturally keep purging kind of a deal. So yeah, I went, well, the easiest thing to do is just to let them purge in fresh water from the tap. So that's what we did. And those I cooked in the same kind of white wine and cream sauce that I did with the mussels. And they weren't that good. I don't know why, but like I couldn't really taste the white wine sauce on it. And then also like the taste of a clam, they were like boring. You know, like there was no taste to them at all. Like the way it tasted is like the way, not really the way mud smells, but like the way a shell smells. It's a weird thing. I don't know. If you're ever around clams, grab a handful of them and just smell the shells, and that's how it tasted. Like it's not bad. It's just like a bland dirt. I guess that's one way of saying it, but yeah, it was it wasn't anything special. And then the one that I ate too was loaded with sand. Like, oh, it was disgusting. And then Shelby tried one, and she kind of said the same thing about the taste. Like, with hers didn't have any sand in it at all, but it was just like boring to eat. Like, there was nothing to it. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, eh. It's almost like stale bread or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, you can eat it, but it's not that good. But yeah, I think next time I definitely have to experiment with clams a little bit more. One thing I would love to do is to make like a series of videos where we just like camp out there or whatever, have our cooking stuff on the picnic table, just walk down to the beach, depending on what it is that we collect, bring it back up, and whether we're smoking oysters on the beach, smoking mussels, making a clam chowder, whatever. Like, I definitely have to spend more time there doing that. And like I could easily spend probably about a week just at Oak Over Arm by myself, just cooking and eating that stuff. Like it was oh, I loved it. I can't I can't explain how much like the ocean actually like means to me, kind of a thing, you know. And then after that, we ended up going out, and the first day it was just me and Dad, and we went after box crab and then set our prawn traps. And those box crab, you either call them box crab or Puget Sound king crab. Uh, that's the first time I've ever gone after them. I've ate them once before, but when I ate them the first time, they were frozen down on the coast, because when you transport crab, you're supposed to cook them whole, freeze them, and then you can transport them. And when I had that, we thawed it out and we cooked it up, and it was just like the meat wasn't held together by anything. It just kind of like just, bleh, you know, it just like fell apart, kind of a thing. Like it was almost like, I don't know, almost like grainy, almost. Have you ever had like that weird stuff like cauliflower rice kind of thing, or cauliflower mashed potatoes? It was not quite that bad, but it was similar to it. You know, when you take a bite and it just I don't know, it just dissolves. So I was excited to try it, but I was like, I really hope that they're not that bad again. Uh, Turns out though, we eat them fresh, superb. they are they are great. The funny thing is with those Puget Sound king crab or box crab, you're only allowed one per person per day. When we set our crab traps, we set we allowed two each, so we set four. Then we went up to the prawn fishing grounds. We set our prawn traps, and then we came back, checked our crab traps, and then went back in. And like typically with crab traps, if you only let them sit for like 3 hours like that, you sometimes will get one or two, kind of thing. And like that's if they're like thick. That's in a place where like, you know, if you leave them sit for like 6 to 12 hours, you'll get like 10, kind of a deal. Where there, we pulled up one trap and it had two. So we pulled those out and like, well, there's our limit with the first trap. We got three more traps to pull. And the other three were like loaded down with them. So pull up the trap, kind of look at them, cool, whatever. Pick out which one's the biggest one, because the other ones, they're out of the water 10 minutes kind of thing. And well, this one's bigger than that one, so we threw this one back, and this one's prettier, so we keep this one, throw that one back, and but yeah, we ended up going back with our two crabs, and we cooked them up that night, and man, they were delicious. One thing that's weird though, when you go to clean those, the way that Dad was doing it anyways, on the belly of the crab they have like their skirt, and you basically grab that and you pull it out, and when you do that, you kind of pull the guts out with it, and then you grab them by the claws, fold them in half, and you break them apart, and then you're able to steam them. And it does work. The problem is though, like if you have somebody that doesn't exactly have strong hands, you're gonna cause a little bit of damage, I think. And yeah, I wouldn't really say much for like suffering, but I don't know. If you're not all that strong, I would say just grab like a big machete, put it on them, and just give them one of those good smacks so it just goes through their shell, and then split them in half that way. That way it's, you know, a done deal within a couple of seconds, kind of a thing. But yeah, we steam them up just like you steam Dungeness. Put them into our steam pot with the lid on it, steam it for 10 minutes, pull them out, let them cool off a little bit. Shelby likes to eat hers with butter and garlic, so I made some of that up for her, and she liked it. I cooked the one up, and I loved it. Their shells are, I don't know how to explain it. They're not as hard as a Dungeness crab, but they're more brittle almost. You can just like squeeze it and it just goes pow, and it just pops, and you can pull the meat out. Like they're easy to eat. And so yeah, we enjoyed that. And then the next day, oh, when I set those traps too, I brought my boys with me. I brought both Texas and Rocky out. Texas, he's a bit of a crybaby. He was a little nervous. Rocky was in his element. He absolutely loved riding in the boat. When we were getting ready to leave, I had the boat just up against the dock, and I said, "All right, boys, load up." And Rocky, he didn't even think twice. He just jumped right in. He absolutely loved it. Uh, Texas, he was a little nervous going there and coming back out, but he was all right, you know. But yeah, Rocky there, he's through and through a boat dog, so that made me pretty proud of him for that. The next day, Shelby came with us to pull our prawn traps, and that wasn't too bad. The prawning where we were, it's not real hot, but we got enough for supper, kind of a thing. You know what I mean? And yeah, like some places I've been where we go prawning, you pull up a prawn trap and you have like 300 prawns that are kind of small little guys, and it's almost a waste because like those little ones, by the time you pull all the meat out, like it's like, I don't know, it's about the same size as shrimp that I used to go fishing at ice fishing at Ingle Lake. You know, they're just tiny. So those ones, even though when you catch a lot like that, it's almost a waste. We're out there. You didn't catch a lot per se. Like there was probably about 50 in each trap kind of thing, but they were a good medium size ones. So they were nice. Once you get into like the large and the extra large and like jumbos and stuff, I don't really like those ones. There is a couple hot spots by Stewart on the Portland Canal where you get like the jumbos, but with those, it's almost like their meat is almost like a weird lobster almost, where it's like thick, hard to bite, and like almost crunchy to a certain degree. So I mean, like when it comes to those really big ones, they're cool to take a picture of them, and you're holding them like this, and they're, you know, this big or whatever. Like it's cool for a picture, like, you know, for an Instagram thing. But to eat it, it's not that good. The ones that we caught in Powell River, where they're about that big. By the time you take the head off, you know, the tails like that, those ones are perfect. They're nice and sweet. They're juicy, easy to eat. And one thing that I did when we were out there too is Shelby was like, "Well, can you eat these things raw?" And I said, "Oh, absolutely." So I ripped the head off one, pulled the tail off, grabbed the meat, and I chowed down on it. And like they're sashimi grade. There's a lot of people that kind of they really go after them, kind of thing, just for the sashimi. And like, I don't know, maybe I'm not much of a fish mongrel or whatever, but yeah, some people say, you know, they're real sweet, delicate, yada yada, whatever. And me, I'm just like, it's a shrimp. You know, like it's not sweet. It's a shrimp. You know, an apple is sweet. A watermelon is sweet. A shrimp is a shrimp. But yeah, we ended up spending a few days down there with Dad. See my grandma, had dinner with her a couple of nights there, did a bunch of cooking. Yeah, it was a great little trip. And then from there, we ended up driving home in like a day and a nap, kind of a thing. We were a little bit late leaving Powell River because I was just dragging my heels. I just didn't want to go home. But we ended up leaving. We were kind of lucky. The first ferry, it was running like very late, like an hour behind. So we ended up catching it. And then, yeah, we ended up getting back onto the main part of the mainland there at Horseshoe Bay around 3 o'clock, I think, I want to say. And then Dad was warning us. He goes, "Man, if you get there at like 3, you better hustle. Because if you're going through Vancouver and stuff," because I wasn't going to go the Whistler way. I wanted to go the other way just to see something new. He goes, "Yeah, if you get through there at like rush hour, the traffic stops. Like it'll take you 4 hours to get through what should be about an hour." I was like, "Well, whatever. Doesn't matter." We came down the Highway 1 through Whistler and all that stuff, and like it was a very scenic drive, and it was real pretty to look at, kind of a thing. But there's just so many hills and corners and ups and downs, and it when you get about halfway through, you want to be done with the drive just because it's so monotonous. It's just speed up, slow down, turn, speed up, slow down, turn. You know, it's just I didn't enjoy going that way. It was just brutal. So we went the, what do you want to call it, Abbotsford Hope Highway way, and that wasn't too bad. We did end up getting into a little bit of rush hour traffic there, but whatever. You just kind of go with the flow and stay in one lane. Don't try to go in and out or whatever. You just end up getting further behind doing that. But yeah, we ended up driving. I wanted to see how far I could make it, and at first I thought, well, we'll make it to, like 100-mile house. And we got there, and I tried to have a little bit of a nap, and I just couldn't. My mind was going. My legs were kind of weird and not feeling too great. So, and I just kept driving. I said, well, maybe when we get to Quesnel, I'll have a nap. Get to Quesnel, I didn't even slow down. Get to Prince George, didn't slow down. We get to the far side of Prince George, and just before like the Salmon Road, I think there's a little pull out on the right. So we pulled out there, had a little bit of a nap for like an hour or two, and then hopped back into well, we didn't get out of the truck. Yeah, started driving again. Got to the Salmon Road, had to take a leak, had to give the dog some food and water. See a nice little, I want to say it was like a real young wolf pup that I seen there, because it looked a little too, it looked a little too different to be a coyote. I'm pretty sure it was a wolf. But yeah, got out, gave the dog some food and water and all that good stuff. They weren't really interested. They were kind of like me. It seemed like they just wanted to get home, kind of a deal. So then, yeah, from there we just hopped back into the truck, and we just drove straight home. And yeah, got home kind of early in the afternoon, kind of a deal. And we didn't even unpack anything. I just said, I'm going in the house and going to sleep and having a bite to eat, whatever. And yeah, then the next day we kind of got up whenever and just kind of slowly started packing our stuff in. And yeah, it wasn't too bad. One of the problems that I had with this trip though, and it was nothing to do with the trip, it was with my cardiologist. They put me on some heart medication, and then before leaving they doubled my heart medication. And when I was down there I had several scares, and there was one where it shook me a little bit, you know. So yeah, I talked to the cardiologist. I said, I'm not taking your pills no more. I knocked it right back down to what they had me on. It was 2.5 milligrams. And then just a couple weeks ago, about a week ago, I just quit taking them altogether. They were, yeah, they weren't too good. I'm pretty sure it borderline almost killed me when I was down south there. So yeah, that was enough for me to say no, no more of that. But yeah. Anyways, we're back home now. All the videos have been put out and edited all up and all that good stuff. We had a heck of a good trip. I want to do it again, but next time I go, I mean, I'll have to go into Duncan for a day just to see my mom, kind of a deal. But that's going to be pretty well get off the ferry, go say hi to mom, spend the night, wake up, and just get out of Dodge as fast as possible. Get up to at least Campbell River to check out the Fisherman's Wharf there, and then from there Port Hardy or something like that, or boot across the side of the island to like Port Renfrew. I've been there before, beautiful place, I love it there. And yeah, just kind of go with the flow, do that kind of thing, stay out of the major cities and all that stuff, and get away from the big crowds. And maybe go there with like a truck camper or a motor home, a camper van, something like that, so it's a little easier to set up every night. Because the ice fishing tent, it does the job, but that thing weighs like 100 pounds. Well, not quite 100 pounds. It's probably around 80, 86, I think is the exact number. But yeah, it's like 80 pounds. You gotta take it out every night, set it all up. And then the thing, it takes up so much room in the truck. Like it takes up a third of the box, kind of a thing. Yeah, so you have to set that all up, pull out all your sleeping bags, pull out your cots, set everything up, pull out your barbecue, cook food, clean up afterwards. It's a lot of messing around And yeah, but I mean, that's part of the learning curve, because like for me, what I thought was gonna happen was I was gonna go down, find a place to camp, set up my stuff, go to the ocean, do my thing, come back, and do that for like 2 or 3 days, then pack up, move to the next spot, and that's not what happened, like, at all. It was a complete opposite. It was set up every single night, and yeah, it was a lot of work, a lot of hassle, pretty good learning curve, but overall it was still a great trip. I still enjoyed myself, but yeah, definitely have some different plans for next time I go, and it'll next time it'll be a little bit better. I think yeah, we'll just stick to the north side of the island. There's a couple of other spots I wanted to check out, but I didn't. We just kind of, we didn't exactly run out of time. I just ran out of caring about being down there, just because I was surrounded by people. Because there's part of the one island, there's a bunch of petroglyphs from the Native Americans. They're like thousands of years old, so I really want to check that out. I think that'd be pretty cool. I do kind of want to go back to Hornby Island, to Fossil Beach, and to give it an actual go at finding fossils. Because when we were there, that's one of the places I was having one of the scares kind of thing. I couldn't really walk, and what sucked about that is, like, you have to hike to the beach, you have to hike down a hill, and then once you're there, you still have to hike along the beach to find your fossils and all that stuff. And boy, was I struggling. It was not good. It was pretty bad. But yeah, I kind of want to do that one again. And I also kind of want to go back there just to pick more oysters, and then just like throw them on the barbecue to see if it was just the way they tasted raw was that bad, or maybe, you know, if you cook them, they're just like the ones at Powell River kind of thing, where they actually turn out to be good. But yeah, there's a lot of what ifs and should haves and all that good stuff. But I think next year I'm going to do the same thing. You know, in February up north here, we usually have that last kick of the can of -30, -40, or it's a complete whiteout blizzard, north winds, and like, oh, it's like, it, every part of me just does not want to be here in February. It's the most depressing month there is, because like you can't really go outside to do anything because it's so cold, and you don't want to stay inside because like December and January you've already been inside, so it's just by then I have to go somewhere to do something and to be active and to be outside. I do not like being inside, and yeah, I don't know. It would almost be worth it to move down there just for my own sanity. But then, when it comes to like work and stuff like that, there's no way I'd be able to find anything remotely close to my job that I have up here down there. It's not going to happen. Same thing with the price of houses and stuff like that. Like, I bought my house for $230,000. This identical house down there would be like 400. I mean, I'm not gonna double my mortgage payment for that. I can make a lot of trips to the ocean for that $200,000, or just buy a yacht and go and stay down there for a couple weeks at a time. But yeah, anyways, guys, that's it for this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're enjoying the videos that have come out with our trip. One thing I've been doing slightly different is I have the main video, and then I've also cut out the cooking, and I've made the cooking like a second video, just for the people that don't really care about, the whole fishing aspect. Say if they're a person like me, when I was just looking for, how to cook an oyster, they can just cooking oysters, whatever, and you see my little 5-minute video come up instead of like the full 15-20 minute video. So there's that, and then also there's been like YouTube shorts of all the videos coming up too, and I'm just trying something new with that. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, hit that like button down the bottom. If you're just listening to this, I'd appreciate it if you went over to our YouTube channel and subscribe to the channel over there. You can also watch all these fishing trips that I've been talking about this episode. And yeah, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll see you on the next one.